Okay,
Mr. Chair, you are live and ready to go.
thank you very much. Welcome to our July, is it August already? Oh dear. August 16th, 2021 meeting at 4:06. So, excuse me, 4:04. We are in session. So I would like to do a roll call, AV check, make sure we can all get in touch with each other if we want. Okay, Liz, can you see the interpreters?
I can, thank you.
Excellent. Nicole, you are here?
Yeah, I like to see all the people, but if I do that, then I can't see the interpreter very well. It makes them small, so.
Yeah, well, we see us once, we never change. Jackie, you can see us all, can you?
I'm here. Yes, I can, Mr. Chair.
Excellent, excellent. Has Sam appeared? She's still on my list, but I don't know if she's around.
Samantha Horn?
Yes.
Yes, hi.
Hi, sorry about that. That's right. Anyway, Leslie, is she around? I thought I saw something. Yes, she's gone away. That's the right one, I believe. I'm sorry. Names that are on my list and names that were in my emails are different. So, okay. Councilor Russell, are you here?
I am here, looking forward to the meeting. Thank you.
That makes two of us, sir. Councilor Diggle Gammon, are you here?
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. Looking forward to our meeting.
Nice to see you too. And Rochelle has regrets. All right, great. So the minutes have been sent around. I believe we've all seen them. I hope we've all seen them. So I would like a mover and a seconder. Can I have a mover for the minutes?
Yeah, I'll move the minutes of July 19th.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Russell, and can I have a seconder, please?
A second.
And that was, again,
Jackie.
all right. So Mr. Russell has moved, Jackie has seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Order of business and approval of additions and deletions. We have seen the order of business. We need a mover and a seconder for this. So can I have a mover, please?
So moved, Mr. Chair. Councilor
Okay. Thank you. And a seconder.
I'll second. Jackie.
Jackie, all right, great. I'm looking at my agenda and not the screen, so until I know all your voices just by hearing them, I'll get this right. All right, so Councilor Gammon has moved, Jackie has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent. Motion carried. Business arising out of the minutes. There is none. Excellent. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Annie, have you identified any?
Thank you, Chair. The conflict of interest is absolutely for, for the individual to decide. Given that there's nothing being voted on today, I don't anticipate that there's any conflicts of interest put forward. But, if anybody has any concerns, they're welcome to make it known at this point.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. Thank you. So I've not heard any. So let's continue with what we have to do. Deferred business, we have none. Correspondence, petitions, and delegation, we have none, I believe.
There have been no correspondence received by the clerk's office for this meeting, and the clerk's office has also not received any notice of petitions.
Okay, great. Items brought forward, none. Here we go. our annual town hall. Here is the meat of our meeting today, ladies and gentlemen. Annie, would you like to talk about the memo that we've all received?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thanks to everybody for coming today. I know we have a bit of a light agenda, but there has been some progress on the development of planning the town hall on mine and Melissa's end in particular. And so we will be looking for some direction from the committee today in regards to both the date and the format of the town hall. So the memo was sent around earlier today, but I will give kind of just a brief overview of the contents of the memo, just because I know it was only sent a few hours ago, so some folks might not have had the opportunity to take a look through it. But Melissa and I had a meeting with representatives from the Halifax Public Libraries last week, and the main the main goals for the meeting were to determine available dates, places that the annual town hall could be held, and to talk about the kind of format that would work for a hybrid event. So there are 4 options that have been put forward in terms of the way that the event could be hosted. And I've included some caveats at the end as to kind of like where some budgetary concerns could be coming into play. But at the end of the day, it is absolutely the committee's direction, and I will follow it and work with staff to kind of implement the committee's will. But the 4 kind of options that are put forward, the main location that's been identified for like the general like hosting space of the event would be the Halifax Central Library in the Paul O'Regan Hall. So this is the largest space that the Halifax Public Libraries currently has to offer in terms of public gathering. And with the restrictions around COVID, I think it's likely best for us to continue to plan with the, we would love to make sure that, everything by the time that fall rolls around, like things that are open, we're in phase 5, but really for the time being, it's probably for the best for us to be planning with, like safety in mind and current restrictions in mind. So Paul O'Regan Hall is the biggest space that they have to offer, and it has a maximum of 50 people. The first option would be hosting the actual panel itself, having the panelists in Paul O'Regan Hall, and there would be like folks physically in Paul O'Regan Hall watching as well. But in terms of, the complementing the hybrid aspect of it, of the town hall, we would need to contract out a tech company to live stream the actual event itself to YouTube. That isn't necessarily something that we can do in-house when it's, in terms of like trying to make sure that sound quality is good. If there are any issues with the video itself, we would need to have a company utilized for their services. And then in this option, there would also be satellite viewing party locations, and the places that have been identified for kind of maybe kind of a southern and then an eastern option would be Tantallon and either the Musquodoboit or Sheet Harbor libraries. And I believe, based on the conversations that we have had, I think that Musquodoboit Harbor Library would probably be the preferable location, but there may be a date conflict on that piece. So we can kind of get to that part of the conversation potentially a little bit later. And then in this option, a staff member from the municipal clerk's office would also be at both of the satellite locations to help facilitate any questions that come from the floor. And we can kind of cross that bridge when we come to it in terms of how we are going to organize fielding questions from the floor. The second option.
Sorry, this is Elizabeth. I'm just curious, will there be captioning or live cart services?
Yes. So there will be, and in these options, maybe I'll go through the rest of the options and then kind of come back to that piece, if that's all right.
Yep, no
Okay.
problem.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. So the next piece is would also be hosting the panel like in Paul O'Regan Hall again, with the panelists and audience being physically present in the location. Again, we would be contracting out the tech company to live stream the event, but instead of having satellite locations and like having viewing parties at the Tantallon and either Musquodoboit or Sheet Harbor libraries, the support would be provided at all of the HRM libraries. Staff would be informed that the event would be going on, and HRM library staff would be able to support individuals who wanted to participate with personal devices at the library to be able to do so. So that is option 2. Option 3 is hosting the entire event virtually in Zoom. So the panelists would not be in a physical location, but essentially what would happen is that each of the panelists, like the representatives from the business units, would call in, through Zoom, either from their office or their home, and we would be able to configure the screens so that it would be set to be kind of be, all of the panelists only on the screen, so that folks, regardless of whether you're in the actual Zoom meeting or you're watching it on the live stream, everybody is seeing the same thing. And with this option, we would have 3 different viewing party locations. So again, the main one being at Paul O'Regan Hall, at Tantallon, and either the Musquodoboit Harbor or Sheet Harbor libraries. And then in this instance, we would have staff members from the municipal clerk's office also at each of the locations, just to ensure that, folks who are asking questions are able to be facilitated, and just making sure that, the event's running smoothly, at least from a tech perspective here. With this option, we may need to contract out some tech services, but it would not be to the same extent that would be required if there was going to be a live stream of the panelists all physically in the same place, because the sound would be, a different scenario. Everybody's mics would be individually being controlled from their own computers or from their own spaces, rather than a tech company needing to make sure that the sound quality is the same across the board from one physical location. And then option 4 would be hosting the event virtually in Zoom from Paul O'Regan Hall, and the Paul O'Regan Hall would be the main viewing location. So this would be like, in terms of like the way that we would advertise the event on social media, like Paul O'Regan Hall would be the main physical location, but again, the HRM libraries across the board would be willing to make sure that this is something that staff are prepared for, and they would be able to provide individuals with personal devices to be able to do that. So on this piece, the reason why we want to ensure that there would be options for folks to be able to either go to the HRM libraries to access the event through Zoom, or whether that be that satellite locations, or it being the kind of event that the libraries are supporting at each of their locations, would be to ensure that, if folks don't have access to internet at home, they have the ability to go to a library and access the event from there. So the kind of considerations that I just wanted to put forward for this is that I will absolutely be going and doing a site visit in Paulo Regan Hall to understand how the space will be configured in a way that makes it, more accessible in terms of movement throughout the space. And we have, the conversation that we had with the staff at the public libraries, said that they can move kind of the risers back and kind of move seating around so that it actually is like an accessible like space to be able to fit as many people in there as is legally possible in a COVID world. And then the other piece that I wanted to just flag for the committee is that we don't have quotes yet from the tech companies in terms of what their services would cost for live streaming it, but the library provided us with some information in terms of events that they have done in the past, and to live stream an event of this nature would be about $1,500, which is the entire budgeted amount for this event from our end.
Yeah.
So if options 1 or 2 are the route that the committee would like to go with, basically what that would look like in terms of the budget that we currently have would be live streaming of the event, ensuring that there is cart captioning and interpreter services. And that would kind of be the extent of the services that we would be able to provide from the budgetary side of things. Certainly from the communications perspective, there are things that we can use digital signage throughout the municipality. There are many like avenues that we can use to put the message out, but it could potentially limit the other options that the committee has talked about around translation services potentially for different languages. And there we have some conversations going right now to kind of understand what other like external funding could be available, but having kind of the direction from the committee will allow us to explore explore that one way or the other. But in terms of the budget that the clerk's office has for this event, the $1,500 is kind of the hard line there around kind of if the committee wanted to move forward with options 1 or 2. So maybe I can pause there and allow for discussion. I also apologize if that was a bit all over the place, but yeah, I'd be happy to kind of answer any questions at this point, and maybe after that we could start talking about dates. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody want to go with the first question? I don't have my wonderful list. So I guess we'll do what, free for all?
I'll go first.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nicole.
I just, sorry, I just need more time. I didn't get the email with the attachments, with all the options for the town hall. So, if someone could send me all the options, I could give feedback in an email. Would that work?
Yeah, I can send you that right now. I'm looking at it as we speak.
So,
Thank you.
So the email was sent out through the calendar email. It was just updated in the calendar email that has the link for this meeting. So that's how it was sent out earlier today.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to find it here and I can't find it.
Are you using Gmail, Nicole?
No.
Okay, well, anywhere you can find a search for a message, search for the word updated, and you should get the most recent word in the message, in the most recent message with that word in it.
Nicole, I can send that to you right now. I'll send an email here.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we have some comments in the chat around folks who are interested in speaking.
Okay. And first I have a comment from Councilor Jim. I'm just gonna go down my list. Yes, Councilor Jim?
Mr. Chair, I think I was just responding to yours around the quality of Wi-Fi in rural HRM. So a big concern about that. Even though sometimes we think that we have it, but we don't. And so then just the being able to get people to the libraries in rural HRM is a little bit of a concern, I think, especially where it's evening between 7 and 9, if that stays being the time, that there's a concern there. But so that was just that one, but I see Councillor Russell might be before me, and then I can come back and ask my questions. Is that all right?
Sure, yep. Councilor
Thank you,
Russell,
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. If you're looking for opinions on preference, my preference would be to have this as both a live event and a virtual event. So eliminating options 1 and 3, because some people will certainly want to be in person, or rather not have the virtual option, and other people will not want to be in person. So they would prefer the live event. So by having the hybrid event, live and virtual, it will make sure that more people are able to attend, recognizing that the internet quality and things like that would need to be taken into consideration. I'm curious about the hybrid event where people would be live streaming as well. Would it be, if they are live streaming, would the people at home be able to interact? Would they be able to ask the questions and get the responses and interact, or would it simply be a broadcast like watching TV? And the other one, Annie, I think you spoke to this, but I'm just curious about the $1,500 budget, and I'm wondering if there's any flexibility with that at all, and is there anything that Councillor Daigle-Gammon and I could do to help with that?
Thank you, through you, Chair, to the councillor. So maybe I kind of misspoke, but the intention here is that each of the options put forward are both live and virtual. It just depends on kind of how it's taking place, and maybe that just depends on one's definition of live. No matter which way the event is being hosted, it will be live streamed, regardless of whether it's happening in Zoom or happening in, or if the panel is being live streamed from a physical location. Yeah, so sorry, I just wanted to make sure that that was a clarifying point on my end. All of these options would include it happening live, and
Both in person and virtual.
Yeah, and the in-person aspect is the viewing, like for options, I guess for the options like 1 and 3, then for the viewing parties, like they would be it would essentially be like a screen set up sending it live. Sorry. Sorry, I'm also a bit under the weather. So I apologize if I'm a little all over the place. The second piece that you had, Councillor, that was the question around the live stream. If folks would be able to participate live.
Yes.
Okay. That would absolutely be the intention, regardless of which option is used here. And so a piece of the further discussion aspect that's listed at the bottom of the memo is that after it's kind of decided which way the committee would like to move forward, then we'll, have the conversation in terms of how how the questions from the floor can be facilitated, and what that would look like in terms of like the staff perspective on that. Around the $1,500 budget, the wiggle room that I have been given is the piece around if we're going to live stream a physical panel, having CART and interpretation services on top of that. That is the kind of the wiggle room that I have to that I have to offer to the committee at this point in time.
Excuse me, Annie, Tracy wants to comment on that budget issue. Tracy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, Annie. I also was going to say that through the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, African Nova Scotian Affairs, when it comes to ensuring accessibility at the meetings, that is a cost that our team also comes to the table with. So I'm not too concerned about our ability to provide all that's needed, like the CART and the interpretations and those things. We will ensure that those all of those pieces are available for this meeting. We can do that this year because we do know that we're working both remotely and in person. In future years, we may not have as much wiggle room, but this year we certainly do have the resources to support ensuring a fully accessible meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Am I next, Mr. Chair? I'm not
I
sure.
believe so. Annie keeps jumping around, so I don't know.
I have a question too at some point. This is Elizabeth.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Councilor Gammon, you will have the floor. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So my comments are a little bit similar to Councilor Russell's, and that I think the 1,500 was probably a pre-COVID kind of budget for an event like this. And so as it is something that we're doing COVID and a hybrid, it does make sense that their budget should be reviewed and addressed. And so if there is additional cost, then we should be able to bring that forward to find out how we could fund it. But thanks to Tracy, we have a good answer, which is great. And in terms of options, I am wondering, like a hybrid. I do believe that people need to be in the company of others at times, and that if there can be an in-person in the Paul O'Regan Hall, as well as live streamed, but a combination, because in option 2, it says the persons that might be at the libraries or off-site or live streaming, that they will have personal devices in which to be able to participate. So I just want to make sure that that's still an option that's available if we decide to go with option 1, just to make sure that we give every opportunity for participation as possible. That's really important to me. And then when we look in terms of options, that's sort of my thoughts at the moment. And, you know, I'm really interested to hear what everybody else thinks as well. The 7 to 9 o'clock and the dates, November 8th in that evening is a Northwest Community Council meeting. So Councillor Russell and I are both on the Community Council, so that 8th might be a challenge for us. But so far, those are my comments, which is, yeah, and just making sure that if it is in person, that there is significant advance notice with Accessibus and other transit options to make sure that people can be there. Thanks. That's my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Annie, are you with us? I see you've been going in and out. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Great. All right, Liz, you had something to say?
Hopefully I won't forget what I was thinking to say. I would like to have both. I would like to have a hybrid. I'd like to have an in-person event as well as something live streamed. I just think that just makes things more accessible for everybody involved. And I'm also wondering about the time. I think maybe we could start it maybe plan for people to show up at 6:45, but then actually get going at like 7. So maybe give a little bit of some wiggle room so that everybody's sort of technology wise in the space, that kind of thing. Just where it is something of this, importance. Having everybody just on Zoom, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Again, I guess just maybe a 6:30 or 6:45 window where there's somebody on camera so that people want to log on early. It gives them a little bit of wiggle room to be ready to go for the top of the hour.
Okay. Excellent.
I don't believe that there is any, like, I don't think I heard any questions there, but I absolutely have I'm writing everything down. And so these pieces are noted, and certainly around the beginning time included in the booking would be the setup and tear down piece for the physical locations as well.
Okay, and I am seeing comments here in the chat that we will have library support people on hand for those who need it. But libraries, should we go with that option? Okay, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you very much for that. Do we have anything else going on? Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm wondering, so we have Mairead here from the library, and
Yeah.
I'm wondering if potentially if Mairead could potentially speak to the question that Councillor Gammon brought up around around support for like streaming the viewing party locations, the physical location, and then seeing if there would be support at the rest of the libraries for ensuring that folks have access to personal devices.
Sounds like a great idea.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to comment on those two pieces. So in terms of the viewing party locations, if we're calling them that at the 2 satellite locations, the library is happy to provide support and can provide the technology to view the live stream in those 2 locations. And as Annie said, we could also have a member from the clerk's office who is there who can help field questions and then put those questions to the panelists. And if we go with that option, it does not preclude anybody else from going to any other library in HRM and also getting support if they have their own device or if they need to access a device to view the town hall. The only difference there is that there would be a group setting sort of in a room where people are viewing together and have some additional support. Whereas if someone just went to their local library, they would have the support of staff to get them set up and to get them viewing and get them a device, but there would be a staff member sitting with them throughout the period of the town hall who would facilitate the question and answer section. So I hope that clarifies a little bit about what we can offer.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have any more comments on the options that are ahead of us for our town hall?
Mr. Chair, I see that Jackie Purcell's hand is up.
Okay, thank you for this. Thank you, Gavin. Councilor Gavin. Jackie.
I thought maybe you were ignoring me, Andrew, but I understand.
I was never ignoring you, Jackie.
Because I always have something to say. Just a couple comments. From my perspective, I think the hybrid model would be best. Just wanted to follow up a little bit on Councillor Dago-Gammon's comment around people actually getting there. That again is an ongoing issue in rural areas, as you know, Councillor. And when I think of people in Musquodoboit Harbor or coming from an area between there and Sheet Harbor, there's always, unfortunately, the difficulty. I think maybe what we could do is provide folks with some information around other accessible transportation in their area. And I'm thinking Porters Lake area, for example, there's Musco Driver, there's Porters Lake Shuttle. There are some options. Unfortunately, Accessibus from the Eastern Shore perspective only comes really as far as, I believe it's East Preston. And this is the last thing, please, is more of a future kind of a question. This has been a couple times that I've participated in the town hall meeting, and I'm looking forward to it very much so, even more so this time than last time because we've missed a year. And I've heard a couple of times about limited budget. My question is more when budget time comes around, what is in place to, I guess, look at the whole accessibility issue within the HRM? I realize we're dealing with the taxpayers' coffers, but $1,500 doesn't seem to me a lot of money for a very, very important issue. And I'm just wondering going forward, and maybe not a topic now, but I don't know where to kind of put it in, that in future, maybe some look is given to each annual budget and what is allowed or what could be that flexibility. How far can the committee go? Because again, as time goes on, understood that expenses are going to rise, and this whole idea of only $1,500, it's not a whole lot of money to run something that we want to include everybody in the Halifax regional municipality. It's not just Halifax, it's not just Eastern Shore. So that's just more of a comment for the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jess. Okay, cycling through for hands raised. I'm not seeing any more hands raised. So are we all ready to continue? Annie, I
I
think
found the email it was in, I deleted.
happens to all of us. Thank you. Annie, would you like to continue?
Sure. So I think maybe before we move on, Mr. Chair, I think the intention of I think in terms of like what maybe I'm looking for from the committee for a path forward would be a definitive kind of choice at this meeting as to which option the committee would like to go forward with.
Yeah.
And that will allow me to, work with other staff within the municipality and potentially externally to, if we need to explore other funding options, that will kind of allow us to go through there. So, however you would like to facilitate that piece, Mr. Chair, but I would certainly appreciate that explicit direction from the committee today.
Okay, so we have discussed the options for delivery. How about we talk about the date, the 8th versus the 10th, I believe. So you had suggested that there was one that had a conflict?
Yes, absolutely. So the potential dates that have been put forward for booking the locations, and this would be specific to Paulo Regan Hall and the space at the Tantalon Library, and then the space at the Musquodoboit Harbor or Sheet Harbor libraries. The reason why we chose 2 dates here, one is to, of course, like give the committee the options to consider, but the Musquodoboit Harbor Library is not available for that date, for the November 8th date, but I also, hearing from Councillor Dickel-Gaiman that there is a community council meeting that evening that would pose as a conflict. Again, completely up to the committee, but just wanted to put out all of the information that we have on that. If the committee would like to move forward with the November 8th meeting and would like to move forward with ensuring that there are specific libraries that have viewing locations. We would not be able to use the Musquodoboit Harbor Library and would potentially use the Sheet Harbor one instead. But, you know, also just hearing what Mairead has said from her response to the previous discussion, that there would certainly be some support at the libraries to allow people to individually participate rather than being at a particular viewing party if they are not closer to the city center or Tantallon or Musquodoboit Harbor libraries.
Okay. Councilor Gammon, you had expressed interest in saying something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess if we're looking for a really solid option, option one gives us the in-person at the Paul Reagan Hall. It actually gives us viewing parties so that there's more support for the persons that do want to come together. And then it also allows for people who might go to another library at least to get set up. But I think the ability to come together, maximizing that is the most important thing. So for me, I really would like to see option one as a good preference. And then considering that, then Musquodoboit Harbor Library is not available for the 8th. So that kind of makes it work out well because it is available for the 10th, and that gives us more viewing parties. So option one and November 10th.
Excellent. Ms. Berry, you had your hand raised?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify, the Musquodoboit Harbor Library is technically closed on that evening, and we could open the library to have the viewing party. We certainly would be open to doing that. It's just as community members wouldn't necessarily know that the library is open, so they might think that there was something wrong, or it might just cause more confusion to do it that way. But we are open to doing it. It just might be a little more problematic if we did it.
Excuse me, for clarification, you mean on the 8th, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But it is open on the 10th.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, great.
It is open on the 10th.
Thanks.
All right. So it sounds like we're moving in a direction for the 10th and option one on the 10th. Can we have any more input on that suggestion?
I simply concur with what Councillor Daigle-Gammon said.
Excellent. Okay, how about more discussion? I'm one of the people that says more discussion is always good. So more discussion?
Mr. Chair, if you would like, I could post the speakers list that I had put in the annotated agenda in the chat.
That would work for me simply because it's easier to manage, but I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion anyway, which is unfortunate given the importance of the issue. So. We have a suggestion of option one on November the 10th. Can I please have some input on that? Even if all you want to do is rubber stamp it, please tell me so that I can be sure that I know that I'm answering the right questions. Please.
No one. Right? Is that it? 7-9.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, you may. Please.
Jackie. I'm open to either option. I guess I just want to make sure that people have either option of gathering in person or having the option available to access it somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes in the rural areas, we learn as well that you kind of fill in where you can and make it work.
Yeah.
So in terms of option one, I'm okay with that. The location, either or, and and maybe I'm going to push the envelope a little bit and ask, could it be available at both Sheet Harbor and Musquodoboit Harbor? But otherwise, I would certainly concur with both councillors. If you need more discussion, I guess I'm doing that.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Berry, do you have anything to add on to that, whether it could be available at both locations?
I'd have to check with the staffing on that. I think I haven't checked with Sheet Harbor. It would probably require us to stay open later at both locations, but that probably wouldn't be a problem necessarily. So I think it definitely is a potential to do that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move away from my chair position and say, what do we have for a snow plan? Because snow is possibility in November, even though it was 50 degrees yesterday out there. I see you, Councilor Russell, I agree. But do we have a snow plan in place for this, Annie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would suggest that if the desire of the committee is to go with the in-person options, that the backup plan would probably look like option 4.
Option 4, okay.
And that could be kind of used as a backup plan, like option 3 or 4, and like having like just moving the event to like a Zoom kind of like virtual space could kind of be used.
Yeah.
And certainly we can delve into like what that will look like down the line, but that would be my inclination to suggest that.
Okay, so we have option 1 with the option 3 or 4 as a snow plan backup. Are we moving in the right direction? I have Leslie saying option 1.
Or you can just, walk around and meet outside or something like that for a backup.
If it's snowing, I'm not going, so. Yeah. Also, as an attendee, I would be okay with option 1, but as a chair, I have no opinion. So, how's that?
It doesn't matter to me what date. Yeah.
Okay, so how about rather than going with, yeah, it works for me, how about somebody screaming, no, it doesn't work for me? And that will narrow it down a little bit. Annie, your hand
I just wanted to put in my 2 cents.
You want to put you want to put in your some comments?
So, Mr. Chair, I think what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing from folks is that option 1 is certainly the preferred. It seems to be the preferred option to go with here, and I'm seeing and hearing November 10th as the date that folks are looking for as well. So, unless there's any opposition to that. What I would say is that I will take this back to both, the clerk's office, have conversations with diversity and inclusion, the libraries, transportation, public works around Accessibus. We'll start having the larger conversations around what planning for option 1 looks like, and we'll potentially of maybe it kind of stemming from Mairead's comments on staffing at the both Musquodoboit and Sheet Harbor libraries, that can be a conversation that we kind of can take offline and bring back to the committee. But if the desire here is to, have the physical panel and taking place at the Halifax Central Library with viewing parties at multiple locations, as well as ensuring that that there's support for folks to be able to watch it on personal devices at the libraries, that will we can certainly go in that direction. And with the caveat too that the live stream will be happening on YouTube, so that folks will still be able to watch and engage from home and in real time, or maybe 30 seconds behind, but relatively real time.
If we're talking Musket Robert, we're talking a day and a half. Yeah, anyway, that was not it. That was not as chair. That was as Andrew saying. So yes, we have November the 10th, option 1, I believe, absent any large outgrowth of opposition, that is what we're going to go with. So all I'm seeing here are option 1 would be my choice. November 10th works. So let's go with that, shall we? Excellent. November 10th, option 1. Thank you for the discussion on that. And now we return to your regularly scheduled list of or order of business. Okay. I've got far too many windows open, so let me go back to my right one. I apologize for this, folks. It's like so many things going on today. It's like, but we will overcome, if you will. Okay. Okay. So the big one, 9.1 is out of the way. So staff updates. Do we have any? I believe we do not. Committee members, I see none. Added items. I don't believe we had any. Okay, so the next meeting is on September the 20th. That would be a Monday. So can I ask for a mover to adjourn, please?
So moved, Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. We are adjourned at 4:56 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.